High stakes, heart-pounding moments, pressure like you wouldn't believe, almost flops, and moments that I will always remember. This is the Nick Solomon Show, the Sports Chatter Podcast. Let's get it started. Probably when you least expected it, I'm back. Although I wouldn't say I'm officially back yet, but I'm here for another episode of the Nick Solomon Show, the Sports Chatter Podcast. And first and foremost, I'd like to say a message out to my viewers in that if it seemed like I fell off the face of the earth, that didn't happen. Obviously, I'm still here, but I did just kind of drop out of thin air with not producing and putting out any more of my podcast videos. It just so happened that nevertheless, I am available, I am here, I'm delivering another episode of the Nick Solomon Show, so I'm ready to get into it and talk about some sports. So, do want to give a shout out to the New York Liberty, who just this past Sunday night, won their first ever WNBA Championship. Congratulations to Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart for bringing home the chip for the New York Liberty. A New York franchise team that has not seen a championship since, 2011, when the New York Yankees or the New York Giants won the Super Bowl. New York Giants won the Super Bowl in 2011, but the Yankees haven't won since 2009. Congratulations to the WNBA team New York Liberty for winning the WNBA championship. But moving on along, something I might incorporate into some episodes going in the future is just some hot topics to, engage myself to talk about it, and to maybe for you listening at home or wherever you may be listening to this podcast, to just sort of in your head, or if you're with someone, to just discuss along with them and see if it brings some healthy conversations. So one hot topic is it fair to ask athletes to sacrifice everything for success? Is it fair to ask athletes to sacrifice everything for success? There's a lot of layers into that question. Now, I do also want to say, after I wrote these questions down in pre-production, I have not put any thought to them. So I did not prepare to answer these questions in great detail or in, some sufficient manner. I wanted to be just like you guys and hear them just off the cuff, think about it, and then answer all within 5 seconds. So I am hearing these, let's just say, at the same time you are hearing these questions. So I'll ask it just for a third time. Is it fair to ask athletes to sacrifice everything for success? There's a lot of layers to that. There's a lot that goes into that. You have what they're being compensated. You have what they bring to a arena, a stadium, what they bring to a city. A lot of these things can be uplifting, but a lot of it is on the individual player as well. And what we ask of them to do to not only their physical bodies, but also their home life as well, is a lot for any individual person. So when we're asking them to sacrifice, what are we asking them to sacrifice? We're asking them to sacrifice relationships, family time, health on their own body, mental strain, and I think there's a fifth one out there as well, but it's not clicking to me right now in the moment. But to sacrifice your relationship can be a big thing, because you can't, a lot of people don't want to live alone in this world. while they're going through their job or post their job careers, no one wants to really be alone. Sacrifice family time. If you're in a relationship or not, you still have a family somewhere. And a lot of these athletes love their family time. Actually, I'm not gonna speak for everyone. I'm gonna say everyone loves their family time. So because of the way the schedule works and how much time you have to devote yourself to your job, that takes away from a lot of different moments in one's life when you get to spend time with your family. So there's sacrifice of that. There's the physical sacrifice, where not only can you visually see it on the field of play, whether it's the body contact or whatever it may be. That's a lot toll to take on your body, but also in training for that as well. A lot of times you go through more grit, more sweat just to get yourself prepared for what is going to come within the 5-second frame of whatever impact may occur in whatever sport you're playing. And then there's a mental strain as well. All of the 4 things I just mentioned come with a lot of mental strain, a lot of mental fortitude that you must have to put yourself in your best capabilities, because that's a lot of hurdles to get through. And if you can get through all of those hurdles, you still gotta perform in front of a live audience. Not just a live audience, but let's just say tens of thousands of people in person, but also knowing that there's millions of people watching back home. It's a lot to process. It's a lot to take on. So is it fair to ask athletes to sacrifice everything for success? If you ask Tom Brady, if you ask Michael Phelps, if you ask LeBron James if they regret any of their decisions to be at the top of their games that they've done over their past 20 years, all of them would say they do it the same way and exactly the same way. Because that got them to success. They had to. Now all these people have families. All these people are good parents as well. But they had to sacrifice and miss so many things. They had to go through so many mental hurdles, so many physical obstacles to get to the top. So if you're looking at a kid, let's just say they're 10 years old, and they want to be successful. They want to be Tom Brady. This is all he went through. If you can do the exact same thing, then you can be as successful or somewhere close to it. Because that's what it takes to be good. And almost as a fan, it's almost what we demand out of them. Because we'll give you the fame, we'll give you the accolades, we'll give you the money. Go through all of that, and you will receive all of that. And at the end of the day, once you are successful, it lives on forever. It lives on forever. Is it fair to criticize collegiate athletes the same as professionals? If you were to ask me that 3-4 years ago, I would have said no. But we're asking this question to me today, and I'm going to say yes. And all has to do with NIL deals. Collegiate athletes are getting paid millions of dollars, just like professionals are. And when you get paid millions of dollars, you get to come with the scrutinize that comes with it. When you don't perform well, and you're getting paid this, those two don't equal. So you're at liberty to get asked, to get questioned, why didn't you perform? Now, I think it should stay in the context of the sport, of the field of play. It should never get personal with things. But if you're getting paid this amount and you're not producing this because that's what you're getting paid to do, then you open yourself up to a can of worms. And that's just the way it is. If you're 17 years old If you're 37 years old, you're both getting paid 5 million. You both get the same level of scrutiny. Doesn't matter the level of play. To me, it matters on the money that you're getting, because you're getting paid just like that professional does. That professional might handle it different, might perform different, but you as a 17-year-old are still getting paid the exact same. So the expectations are the same. And so you should be open to receiving that same level of criticism. That's almost what you sign off for. When you sign the dotted line for that 5 million, you're also signing off to take equal criticism, just like a professional would. The last hot topic I want to bring up is, should the NFL realign to divisions or realign their conferences? So this is a very interesting one. And if you look at an NFL map and see where all the NFL teams are based, obviously most NFL teams are eastern half of the United States based, or the 13 colony states have majority of the NFL teams in them. So not every conference or not every division looks geographically right. Some are not. So let's do something fun. And should the NFL realign its divisions or conferences? I say yes. I think it should be done soon, because I think it would benefit travel. I think it would benefit logistics. And it would just, again, geographically look right. So as you look at this map right now, you see where all the NFL teams are based. Again, most of them are on that eastern coast area. So if I were in charge of this, and I were to realign the NFL's teams by their division, there isn't many changes I would do with that. But essentially what I would do for the AFC conference is I would take the Colts out of the AFC South and put them in the AFC North. Then I would take the Baltimore Ravens out of the AFC North, put them in the AFC East, and then finally I would take the Miami Dolphins from the AFC East and put them in the AFC South. So what the conferences would look like is the AFC North would have the Browns, Bengals, Colts, and Steelers in them. The AFC East would have the Bills, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Ravens. And then the South would have the Dolphins, Jags, Titans, and Texans. Does not all look geographically right now? As far as the NFC is concerned, I think they're generally fine, except for one team, and that's the biggest team, or they probably claim they're the biggest team. But I would take the Dallas Cowboys out of the NFC East and put them in the NFC South, and I would move the Carolina Panthers from the NFC South and put them in NFC East. So you're basically just swapping the Cowboys for the Panthers. So redoing that, it would look something like the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, Dallas Cowboys, and Atlanta Falcons. And the NFC East would look something like the Washington Commanders, the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Carolina Panthers. So that is how the realigning by divisions that I would do. I think everywhere else is pretty good. The AFC West is good. NFC West is good. And the NFC North they're all good. So how I would do this if it was by conference? So I would turn the NFL conferences that are now split between AFC and NFC, I would make it just like the NBA does it, where they have East and West teams. So how would that look? So looking at this map, the 16 teams on the AFC, see this on the Eastern Conference, I already got sort of mixed up there. How this would look for the Eastern Conference, the NFL, you would have the Patriots, Jets, Giants, Eagles, Ravens, Bills, Steelers, Commanders, Panthers, Falcons, Jags, Dolphins, Buccaneers, and I believe that's, what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then Lions, Browns, and Bengals would be your 16 teams for the Eastern Conference. Again, that's the Lions, Browns, Bengals, Falcons, Buccaneers, Jags, Dolphins, Panthers, Commanders, Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Eagles, Giants, Jets, and Patriots. And then for your Western teams, you would have the Packers, the Bears, the Colts, the Titans, Saints, Vikings, Chiefs, Cowboys, Texans, Broncos, Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, Raiders, Rams, and Cardinals. That would be your Western Division Conference. And looking at those, honestly, I think that would be very interesting to do. Now, again, geographically, I think it will work. Again, most of the teams are kind of bunched up there on the eastern part of the United States, but geographically, I think it would still work. You could have it split up just like the NBA does into so you have 16 teams, so 4 groups of 4 teams. So you would have thinking you have the Vikings, Packers, Bears, and Colts in one division, as they would all be kind of geographically close to each other. And then you would have, thinking the Titans, the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Texans, and sort of the next division. And then I would do the Cowboys, Broncos, Cardinals, and Raiders in the other. And then the final one, I would have the Seahawks, Niners, Chargers, and Rams in that final one. For the East would be a little bit more difficult, I think, but I think I can break it out. So in the East, I would have the Patriots, Jets, Giants, and Eagles in one division. The Dolphins, Buccaneers, Jags, and Falcons in one. I would have the Panthers, Commanders, Ravens, and Bengals in one. And then I would have the Lions, Browns, Bills, and Steelers in the final one. So that is how I would break up the new divisions as well. I think that would be interesting. Again, that would save on travel for some of these teams. It would keep fan bases close to each other, because right now the current furthest fan base is in their division is, I believe, the Cowboys and the Giants are the furthest away from each other. That's a lot of traveling for those fans to do. And then I believe it's Miami and and Buffalo are the second longest, and then it's Seattle and the Seattle and the Arizona is the third largest distance in between each other. That's a lot of traveling for those teams. So if you shorten up where some of these teams are based at, their fan bases can then travel a little bit more easier to those cities. Doesn't mean that they're going to buy more tickets, but at least they could go to those cities, enjoy those towns. It could be even better economic boost. But thank you again for tuning in and watching another great episode of the Nick Solomon Show, the Sports Chart Podcast. I'm not going to say when my next episode will drop, when it may air, but be on the lookout, because it may be sooner than you think. Have a good one.